The voice in your ears is Perfect Pervis, and welcome to the off season. Today, our topic is what makes someone athletic. What is an athlete compared to what is athletic? Like, can you be one without the other? That's what I want to talk about. In my opinion, an athlete is someone who plays a sport, but being athletic is a physical trait. I'm not trusting the internet too much, but I did a quick Google search that defines athletic as physically fit or strong, or muscular or active. Then also says of, relating to, or suitable for an athlete or for athletics. I'll use this as my base definition for athletics since I feel like it has many different definitions in certain situations and from various sources. With this definition of being physically fit or strong, can one be athletic without being an athlete? Or better yet, can someone be an athlete without being athletic? I'm not the person to answer those questions, but I don't think either question can be answered with a simple yes or no either. So let's talk about athletic to athleticism. Moving on from athletic to athleticism, again, I'm going to use my base definition. Being athletic is a general trait, but athleticism is an active attribute that it kind of hits different. For example, when someone is described as having speed and athleticism, they're considered as being more athletic in parentheses or in quotations than someone else who's probably also termed athletic in general. So, what makes athleticism so much of a difference maker? What makes athleticism something that stands out between two people who are considered athletic? I have no idea why athleticism is used as a characteristic to separate already established athletes. But I assume that when people use the term athleticism, they're talking about the small, intangible aspects of speed, agility, power, change of direction, and pure talent altogether. I'm just not sure how much of that stuff can actually be defined as athleticism when compared to other quotations athletic people. Um, let me keep going on this topic. What makes an athlete athletic? That's what I'm thinking next. Sticking with my base definition, athletic can be summed up as physically fit. The problem with that is we all know, again, in quotations, athletes who don't pass the test for physically fit. Yeah, I'm talking about those O linemen, kickers, and people playing sports like curling. I won't go at like golf players or NASCAR drivers or even like poker players, which technically is a sport now. But that's just a different convo about are those even considered physical sports? Like, can sports be a sport without being physical? This is not the time for that, so I won't get deep into that type of stuff. But back to athletes being athletic, I would have to say that according to my base definition, an athlete has to be athletic to compete in a sport. But the level of athleticism varies from sport to sport, position to position, and on different levels of competition. So I think you have to be some level of athletic to be an athlete, but the amount of athleticism that I talked about earlier, that can really change depending on a lot of different factors. So I'm not going to talk long on this topic today. I'm just getting a little bit off my chest. So now I'm going to talk about my interpretation of athletic. My personal interpretation of athletic would be anyone who can physically compete in multiple physical sports, regardless of skill or talent. An example would be if I take a football player and put him on a basketball team. He might be a liability, and I mean a liability out there as a shooter or even a dribbler. But if he's athletic, he should be able to play defense and, do some basic dribbling, maybe not ball handling per se. Dribbling the ball is a basic hand-eye coordination, and athletic people should have that coordination regardless of sport. Another example would be maybe like putting a soccer player on a football team. Obviously, the position they play will determine a lot, but to keep it simple, let's say that you take a soccer player, most of them should be able to play cornerback pretty seamlessly. Yeah, they might drop every interception opportunity or get lost in cover sometime when the ball is in the air. But when they play man to man, it's basically a slowed down soccer for them. Like, stick with this man. Athletic soccer player can usually do that for a limited amount of time. Again, depends on the position and the player. Now, when I say athletic people can play multiple sports, you have to know that I'm taking out the skill required for the sport. Therefore, the more skill required for sport, the harder it would be for an athletic person to play it without that skill. So, just to put another example out there, an athletic person can play baseball, but it would take a while to get skillful enough to be good at it. While just being athletic and of a certain size get a lot of people onto a football team, it don't take nearly as long for their skill level. So you don't want to actually, don't even listen to that because y'all don't want to hear about how much skill is needed in different sports. Because again, that's a topic for another day. And I ain't got time for the arguments that people are going to have about, this sport is harder, this sport takes more talent and skill. So I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to wrap it up a little bit. I know this is a short episode, but I don't have a lot to say. I'm just kind of speaking my mind about athletic and athleticism. So there's a couple questions that I have and about the term athletic. And again, no order or importance of these questions, but if you're listening, I would like you to contact me with your opinions so I can follow up this episode in the future. So I'm going to ask a couple questions, and if anyone listening has more questions or even answers to my questions, please, get at me at Perfect Pervis on the socials, Perfect Pervis at Perfect Pervis. Yeah, at Perfect Pervis on the socials. I almost forgot my name. And then perfectpervis at gmail.com is my email. So, first question I have is, are bodybuilders or powerlifters considered athletic? I just want to know what people think. I don't really have an opinion. Honestly, I believe like if you're a poker player and they call it a sport, then you can be athletic. But again, are bodybuilders or powerlifters considered athletic? Next question. Once you become athletic, are you always athletic? Can you become unathletic or non athletic? As a retired player, I like to consider myself not an athlete anymore, but people do tell me that I'm athletic. And I'm like, how do you determine that if I don't play, if I'm not an athlete? So that's a question I have. If you were athletic, are you always athletic? Next question. If all athletes are considered athletic, are they still considered athletic after they stop playing sports? Okay, that's the same thing. I don't know why I'm asking the same question. I guess the first question would be if someone is just athletic but not necessarily an athlete. And then also, if you are an athlete, are you always athletic? That's the same question. I don't know why I wrote it down as two different questions. So, next question. Does playing a sport make you an athlete? And does that automatically make you athletic? Like, just because you're in a sport, does that make you an athlete? I mean, there's esports now. Are those athletes because they play video games really good? And if they are athletes, are they also athletic because they can use their fingers and thumbs and hand-eye coordination? I don't know. Hit me up with some answers. Last question. Is there really a way to determine athleticism, or is it just a vague term that's overused globally? I mean, I know my thoughts on it, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. So somebody please send me a message with answers to these questions. Uh, that's all the questions I have. So let me wrap this up real quick. Athlete, athletic, athleticism, or whatever term you want to pick out of this episode is a controversial topic, no matter what. And I'm not claiming that there's a right or wrong side of the issue, but it still remains that I'm not sure what athletic really is or how it relates to actual athletes. But hopefully, through this very short episode, people start to question the term and even answer some of my questions about it in more detail. So, in summary, call whoever you want athletic, and I'm cool with it. I still don't have a catchy outro for the show, so thanks for rocking with me as we go through the off season.